gonna be honest, I don't know what's bothering me more right now. The fucking heartburn I have that I can only describe as a fire-breathing dragon, or the fact I feel so fucking bamboozled by M. Night Shyamalan. I take that back. It's not Shyamalan's fault. He's just making movies. But I feel a little gaslighted because everybody told me Old was shit and Knock at the Cabin was decent. What? You know, at least Old was so self-aware that it made fun of itself. But Knock at the Cabin feels like someone's trying to describe a movie to you, but they were on their phone the whole time, and so they missed great big chunks of it. You know, not unlike my other reviews. Anyway, so we're going to start with Old because Old came out first. Old came out, I don't know, like a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2020. So Old is about a bunch of families who are on vacation, and they decide they're going to go to like this secluded beach outside of the resort that they're staying at, and then it's actually the resort that recommends this beach, but they're acting all shady and shit when they first get there. Which, I'm gonna be honest, if a van drops me off in the middle of the woods in a country that I don't live in and tells me, oh, you just follow that to go to the beach, I'm not going. What do you mean I have to walk through inhabited woods? It's an island. There are a lot of beaches. Take me to one. Anyways, they get there and they're on the beach and they're playing for a while, and then like all this shit starts to happen. One of the kids finds a dead body floating in the water, and then there's a rapper they call Mid-Size Sedan. And that's supposed to be his stage name, Mid-Size Sedan. But they're trying to deal with this body, and then someone's grandma drops dead of a heart attack, and then they realize the kids are growing at like an alarming speed, and like these kids won't stop eating. And then they realize everybody's aging at a super fast rate. And come to find out, the resort is actually some kind of pharmaceutical company who's taken these people to this magic beach so that they can test their medications on them, because at least one family member in each of these families had some sort of disease that was killing them. And they were secretly medicating them with their trial drugs and then putting them on this beach. Big controversy of this movie is that there's a little girl. She starts at 6 years old in the movie, and like I said, they're rapidly aging. It's like 2 years for every hour they're at this beach. Long story short, by about midway through the movie, she's probably like 18, I guess, and gives birth. But the baby dies. But the baby doesn't make it like minutes after it happens due to, they say it's neglect, more or less, because its body's growth can't handle the time process. I think mostly that means it's not eating fast enough. Which leads me to the question, shouldn't they have died like 30 minutes after they got there of starvation? Because that's essentially them not eating for a full year after being there 30 minutes. It was this a convenient plot for the baby, but it doesn't work for the people who are already there. And my other beef is that the girl who had the baby was the only one brave enough to climb up on the rocks to try to get help. And instead of trying to catch her, they just let her fall. Not let's catch you as a group, not let's get a blink. She snapped like a twig. Go to part 2. Anyways, eventually, so the only people who are going to make it out are the 2 sibling kids, but they're going to be rescued by what I can only describe as magic coral. Like, they have to swim down deep in the magic coral. Either way, they get back to the resort. Anyways, there's this cop that's on vacation back at the resort, and he brings in everybody, and then they find out it's a whole pharmaceutical company and all this other stuff. They come to find out they've been doing this for years. Like, this is not the first group. There's like 70 groups. Anyway, and if you're wondering how the family is going to take it, they had to call their aunt and explain that they are fully grown in the matter of a day. The end. I don't know, like the science is so ridiculous it puts it right up there with The Happening for me, but at least the journey is fun. Like their explanation as to why nobody's hair is going gray, or nobody's teeth are falling out, or that nobody's fingernails are growing is because they're different cells. What? Listen, I failed anatomy too, but I don't think it works like that. Anyways, let's move on to Knock at the Cabin. The entire idea behind Knock at the Cabin is astounding. I mean, it's based on that book. I think it's Cabin at the End of the World. I love the idea of it, but we are missing profound context. There's this lovely gay couple with their daughter. They decided to go on vacation in the middle of the woods, and then Batista and 3 other people, including Ron Weasley, show up at the cabin. They force themselves in, they tie everybody up, and they're like, hey, you need to choose one of y'all to be sacrificed so the world doesn't end. Should be simple enough. By the way, while we're on track, Batista just nails this whole fucking role. He's supposed to be something like a 2nd grade teacher. I would absolutely trust a room full of children with him. I would probably trust him to hold my drink. He looks scary, but is a marshmallow. Meanwhile, Rupert Grint looks like Rupert Grint, but he's supposed to be scary. But here's where it gets froggy. So 90% of the dialogue in this movie is, you need to make a sacrifice. Will you sacrifice to save humanity? I don't believe you. I think you're crazy. And it goes back and forth like this for like an hour and a half. But where it gets hairy is that every few hours, one of the 4 people who are supposed to represent the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse sacrifices themselves. And then once they sacrifice themselves, something happens in the world. There's like tidal wave or darkness or like planes falling out of the sky, and it kills a lot of people. But they keep telling the couple, if you don't make a sacrifice, the whole world's gonna die. But riddle me this, Batman. If you didn't sacrifice yourself, would these events just not happen? Because the events don't happen until after they sacrifice themselves. Sort of. Because they keep showing the news on TV, but it's pre-programmed. But also it's happening live at the same time, because Batista can actually show the anchor what she's going to say, sort of. And while they all had visions, apparently they met on a message board. I don't think we get more information about that. Part 3?